Hey guys, and welcome back to the 411 on Tech. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Sony's PlayStation VR2. It's Sony's next generation virtual reality headset. We've had it for a few weeks now, and we've been putting it through its paces. Now, we both have conflicting thoughts about it.
Yes.
We're going to show you what's new and improved about it. We're going to show you how it compares to other VR headsets on the market, what games you can expect to play, and whether we think it's worth the price. So strap in and get ready to take this virtual reality ride with us, and we're going to get into it right after this.
Now, right off the bat, let's talk about price. A lot of people out there are saying it's a lot of money. It's $550. We're here to tell you it's not. But here's the context behind that and our hot take. Yes, generally speaking, $550 is a lot of money. But when you compare this headset with other headsets on the market, what it does, its specs, its level of immersion it provides, is actually cheap. You have high-end VR headsets out there right now, some with specs that aren't as good, and some that are triple the price. And when you're talking about, like a PC VR headset, don't forget you also need a fairly decent PC to run it and to get decent performance out of it. So right there, you've already blown past the combined price of the PS5 and the PSVR 2. And not to mention, it's leaps and bounds, if you ask me, from the Quest 2, especially with it right out of the box. I mean, just talking comfort-wise, like the strap and everything, leaps and bounds over that. So that's our thoughts on price, but is it still worth it to buy? So let's dive in deeper to answer that question. Let's talk about design.
Okay, for design, it's got a sleek, futuristic design. It matches the PlayStation aesthetic with the black and the white. A similar design to the original PSVR, it's still pretty clunky, but you can see like the design still has like the halo, and I'll bring in the original PSVR, so you can kind of see, it's got this visor halo thing going on, and it has padding here. Has padding there and padding there, so it's similar, but not. It's a little bit sleeker, and then of course now,
more white than black.
Yeah, and this one has the inside-out tracking, where this one, didn't have that. So some of the difference, but similar in design, and we'll get on how they compare a little bit later in the video. But with this adjustable halo strap, it can accommodate a wide range of heads, sizes, and shapes. This dome, that dome, and it's easy to put on. Demonstrate real quick. So you just kind of push this button in the back, and it expands out. So I like to grab it like at the front, and then grab it in the back, and then put it below your occipital bone, a little bump in the back of your head, and then you just kind of click it on, and then I forgot this.
Yeah, you want to
adjust. You want to have this off. It was already out, but yeah, you want to put that pulled out, and then just push that back.
So turn to the side.
And then.
So yeah, so make sure you have it like lower, like as far down to your neck as you can kind of get it.
So it kind of like slips up like that. So yeah, it's very easy to put on, and then we'll get into getting adjusted to the sweet spot later, but that's more with the software side of it. So we thought, the original PlayStation VR, the most comfortable headset we've ever had. This one, the padding to us, it's not quite as comfortable. The padding in the front on the forehead, especially, I thought wasn't as good.
Yeah, so like with the original PlayStation, I never felt any real pressure whatsoever. And again, with that halo design, it was just... It
balances the weight front and the back pretty nice.
Obviously this has the halo design too, but yeah, it's just something, I don't know if it's not as much padding. I mean, the padding is different than the original PSVR, but I don't know. But I would still say though, it's more comfortable than anything else really out there that is not a halo design.
Yeah.
Especially like the Quest 2, we could not have that without that facial interface and like the halo that we got for that.
Yeah, we got the Bobo VR and the VR cover. Without that, for any kind of length of time, like even over like 10 or 15 minutes on the Quest 2, or the Meta Quest 2, just wasn't very comfortable.
Yeah, so
but
not as comfortable as the original.
yeah,
one.
not as comfortable. Still pretty good. Not the worst.
Yeah.
The facial interface. So this little part right here, this like
a light. I guess you could call it like a light blocker. Or...
like this, like kind of like accordion facial interface blocks out almost all light. So the immersion from that is really great. So the facial interface, the light shield, is pretty good. The buttons on the headset are also like pretty easy, like power buttons in the middle, and then you have like your pass through button so you can see your surroundings and that kind of thing. It's also very nice, and then like I think it's like a select button. And you have your IPD adjustment wheel on the side.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's really nice. Now, unlike the
Quest 2,
the Meta Quest 2, where you just gotta physically slide in between the 3 positions.
And the Quest 2, you even have to take off.
Yeah.
Right? And then in the side.
Yeah, you just move like the lenses,
off.
and then like we use an app to figure
out.
out.
It's just like 3 adjustments.
Yeah, we use an app to figure out what the IPD is, and then we know like based on the positions of the Quest 2, like which one of those positions is closely matched up. This one is just like all software. You kind of, you'll see like when we show that, you'll see like lining that up.
Now the sweet spot.
Yeah, and to get into the sweet spot.
Go for it.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that your eyes in that thing are like lined like right in the middle. It'll like kind of show you like if your eyes are like overlapping from where they should be in those little circles and everything. You get into the sweet spot, and that's going to make sure you get the best possible experience you can as far as like the limiting the blurriness, limiting the light rays and that kind of thing. Now with that, I want to talk about some normal VR expectations. Now anything in your peripheral vision is going to be blurry, and that's just a fact of VR at this time. Now, because a lot of people are like, oh, this is like 4K resolution, 2K per eye. You think you're gonna?
And I'll tell you, right? Like, so I thought again, like this is very high resolution. Like, I'm not gonna see what I see with like the Quest 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But you did. But like you said, it's the technology, like especially with the Fresnel lenses.
The Fresnel lenses. Yeah.
So like the text, like I would look at the text, and I expected that text to be clear as day, like you're looking at a TV, but it's not going to be. You're still going to see
those light rays. Yeah, so like especially in high contrast scenes, like Michelle mentioned, like a black background with white text, you'll see like the little light beams like coming off the letters, and that's normal for VR right now because of the Fresnel lens. Now they're going. Some other headsets are going. Like I think the Quest Pro has the pancake lenses, but those have their own set of limitations. I think the field of view is more narrow with those, so it's like give and take with those things. So that's just kind of where the optics are with VR right now. Also, you can have the screen door effect now. Just like the original PSVR, like the screen door effect is very minimal, and this one I would say is even less. And especially when you're in the heat of battle, like you're playing Call of the Mountain or you're driving a GT7, and you're just focused on you don't even really, unless you slow down and kind of look around and actually look for it. Yeah, you're not going to see it. So the screen effect is very minimal, but those are normal things with VR, and we just wanted to bring those up.
All right, now also on the headset you have.
Push the button.
I'll get this off here. You have a 3.5 millimeter jack. So it comes in the box. It actually comes with some earbuds here. And it's actually kind of unique how these get in here. So there's a little hole here, and then there's like a little, what would you call that, like a tab or something?
It's like a false socket.
So you just plug in the 3.5 millimeter, and then pop this in. There you go. And then they're in there. And so, like I said, it's a really nice design. They just kind of like seem like they're just built in. Yeah, and then you just throw them away, just put them in these little side sockets. Thing. Like at first we looked at it like, what is that? But that's, you just put them in there to store them so they're not like dangling around. So that's really nice. Now, so yes, it comes with earbuds, and that's nice. The earbuds, they do support the Tempest 3D audio, but they're earbuds, right? So you're not going to get the best sound out of those. So you might want to, get a wired or like a wireless headset. So we have the Pulse 3 wireless headset. This works really nice, and you're going to get much more better sound out of another headset other than the earbuds. Now, specs, we'll throw them up on the screen here, but so you have display. It is an OLED panel that supports HDR. The optics or Fresnel lenses, as we mentioned earlier. The resolution is 2000 by 2040 per eye. Now, again, it's still not like you're looking at a 4K TV, but a very, very high resolution there. Refresh rate, 90 hertz and 120 hertz. The field of view is 110 degrees. Tracking inside out. So, again, you don't need those cameras or anything like that, so that's really nice. It does support eye tracking. There's not a lot of headsets out there that support eye tracking right now, so it's really nice to have that feature as well. Finger tracking. It does do partial finger tracking, finger and thumb. It's not the best out there on the market, but it does offer that. And then, like Damien mentioned, it does have pass-through. It's grayscale, but it actually looks really good and really clear.
Yeah, it's good enough to like see what's around you, make sure you don't bump into things. If you need to grab something, like if you're initially putting on the Sense controllers.
And it's really easy. You just hit that button. And I would say the grayscale looks better than like what you would get on the Quest 2. I think it looks better than that.
Yeah.
And then haptics. It also supports haptics in the headset itself, which again, you're not really getting that with any other headset, which is nice. But it does add another layer of immersion. And then just like your DualSense, you get haptics in these.
One thing I did want to mention, this cable here, it's not detachable.
So yes, it is a tethered headset.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's pretty long. But like the durability of like, so when we like store this thing away and we put it in like a carrying case, it just like sometimes it wants to like kind of like get looped around and everything. And I can see like on the inside there's like a little bit of the cabling that's kind of getting twisted up. So hopefully the durability of this cable won't be like a weak point of this headset.
Yeah. And it's 4.5 meters.
Yeah,
so
which is about 15 feet.
It's pretty. It's got a good.
Pretty good distance on it. So like,
and it's USB Type C, so you just plug it right in the front of your.
Yeah. Now some people are saying that possibly, but the resolution might be DisplayPort over USB Type C, something like that. But it was the one cable, whereas the old one was like the breakout box, and you had to do that whole thing, and like all these cables and hooking this in and stuff like, and then it had like numbers. It was like
the cables are numbered.
Yeah, the cables were numbered to try to help you, but it was still like a little complex. Now, as Michelle kind of already alluded to, the controllers. Now, these controllers are a great improvement over the PlayStation Move controllers that you had to use with the original. Like, and these, you had to make sure you had enough light in the room.
And these weren't even meant
this
for the PSVR. Like, these came before, and they're like, oh, well, we got these Move controllers. Let's just use those.
It's like maybe they ran out of time to like develop proper hand controls for the original PSVR, but these new ones greatly improved. They're super lightweight. All and they, like Michelle mentioned, they have the haptics in it. All the buttons feel great to press. So you have like your circle, X or cross, and your triangle and your square, and the PlayStation button. Then you have your your share button and your options button, and like you press the button on the right controller. And it like you just hold it and it recenters your view.
I just want to say the buttons I absolutely love, and it's just like a small, and they're more tactile than the DualSense. I don't know. I just really like it. Like it really has like a nice,
satisfying
one of the
click.
best satisfying clicks I think I've ever felt on any controller. I don't know. Like I just want to keep clicking. Like I don't want to stop.
So Michelle really likes them, and they're comfortable to hold.
Yeah.
So you got your trigger, your side buttons, really comfortable to hold. Like I mentioned, it's the lightweight. They have these straps on it, and you just kind of like
so you can just
go like that,
it.
And that's on.
Nice. Yeah.
And the haptics in there are nice when you're playing Kayak VR. That kind of vibrates. We'll get more into that later.
And like I mentioned, the adaptive triggers, just
it
like
has
the DualSense.
USB Type C charging. It does come with the you get a cable and you can charge it that way. But
why?
Really recommend it is $50, but having a charging station, because say you forget to plug it in, like these only have 2 to 3 hours of battery. You could be getting into like wanting to play VR and they're not charged. So just having that
it's just
charging dock and set it on there.
Ready to go for the next
they're ready to go for the next time, like Michelle mentioned.
And then it comes with
these little contact plugins that contact patches on, or the contact connectors on here, and you just make sure you place it in there right though, because you know if it's not,
you should see a light bar.
Yeah, you should see the light bar. Yeah,
to know if it's charging, and it's got like a nice weight to it. It's really good. It's $50, so it is another added cost, but I definitely think it's worth it if you're gonna get in the game.
Yeah. So at this point, you know, $550 for the one with the Colin Mountain, and another $50 for this. You're at $600 plus tax and shipping, but still, like we'll get into that price. Proposition a little bit later in the video. So now we're going to move on to setup.
Yeah, so setup. So like Damien mentioned, right? So the PSVR, they literally had to label the cables. It was so much to do. You had this box, and then, you know, you got to plug in the HDMI TV. I guess it was out, and the PSVR would plug in the back. It was just the whole thing. Now, guys, like we mentioned, you just have this one single cable, USB-C. You plug it right into the PlayStation, in the front of the PlayStation 5, and that's really it about in regards to the physical setup. That's it. So a lot easier than what it used to be. All right, so then once you have that plugged in, then you just go ahead, you turn on your PS5, you power on the PSVR2 with that power button right there in the front. Now, the first thing you're going to be prompted with, and you should be prompted with, you should get a little pop-up to update the firmware. So you want to make sure your firmware is up to date, and then you just follow the on-screen instructions to complete the setup process. So it's really easy. It walks you through it. One of the first things you're going to do is connect each controller to the PS5 with the included USB-C cable to get those paired up. Then you just want to make sure you clear your space. So they recommend a 3x3 or 1 meter by 1 meter, you know, available space, whether you're sitting actually or standing. So for either one of those situations, you want to have 3x3. And then it also asks you to adjust the room brightness. So you want to make sure you have a well-lit room. You also want to, though, avoid direct sunlight, because that can affect the tracking. One thing to mention too is if you're playing and you notice any kind of tracking issues with the headset itself, there is in the settings, like if you go to settings, accessories, PlayStation VR2, there's something called tracking support. Now if you turn that on, so especially if you're playing facing the TV, if you turn on that tracking support, it'll identify the TV as a light source that you don't want. Because sometimes, especially if you have a bigger TV, it can be really bright, and that can affect the tracking. So that's something to note. And then it'll start walking you through how to put this headset on. Now, like as Damien demonstrated earlier, I'll demonstrate it again, because again, it is very important to make sure you have this on right so you get that sweet spot. So, you know, first you hit this button here to extend the main headset itself. Then back here, you know, you have the button, you push in, bring that back, and then you put it on your head. And then, again, make sure this thing is as low as it can go, and then you just use the dowel to get it on tight, and then you push this in. We try to push it in as far as it can go, because again, it blocks out the light, and then it just gets those lenses closer to you.
And it increases your field of view the closer you have it to
your
face.
And then, so once you have it on, like look at some text to see, okay, is it blurry, is it right? And then you might need some micro adjustments, like just how it's on your head. I had to do that. Or, you know, again, the IPD dial, you might need to adjust that some. So if you just make sure you walk through the setup, get it on right, adjust that IPD dial, you should not have any issues.
So with the headset on, you can wear glasses. You just want to make sure as you're adjusting the headset in and out that your glasses don't actually touch the lenses and scratch them. Now, I also heard there's probably going to be like lens covers with prescriptions that you can get for this. So you might want to do that because you don't want to scratch the lenses. You adjust the IPD with the dial until things look clear. Now, there's going to be an on-screen diagram, and you just want to make sure the IPD is adjusted. When you see your eyes in the middle of those circles, that's going to be the sweet spot. So you want to do that. It's also going to scan the room. It was just really cool. It's kind of like triangles and like topography, kind of cool, like blue overlay as you're looking around. So then it'll like kind of map out the play area, but you can dial it even more and tweak it with the controllers and like back things out from where it's scanned or add things. Yeah, so that was nice.
All right, so gaming experience, what everybody wants to know. What I will say is this headset has definitely given me the highest level of immersion that I've experienced yet on any other headset. And right off the bat, like, let's talk about Horizon Call the Mountain. Like, that's the... I don't want to call it a demo game because it is more than that. It's a 6-hour game. It could be longer, but I mean, it just really, though, shows off the features of the PSVR2. Having that OLED panel, you get beautiful contrast. The colors are bright and vivid. Again, it's an OLED, so you get those inky blacks. And you can really notice the dynamic range. Like when you're looking around, it just looks so beautiful, and the resolution of the game is just really, really good. When you look up at the sun, it looks bright. Like
that's when you want the light rays.
Right,
yeah.
like it looks bright. Like it almost kind of like you want to squint your eyes a little bit. So that's all the HDR and just how the game is just really, really beautiful. And the haptics, like it really adds a nice level of immersion. So, you have them in the headset and in the controllers. At the beginning, you see like the Stormbird coming, and like you feel like as it's flapping, you feel the haptics on the headset, which is really, really cool. Now, I do experience motion sickness. So one thing that was nice about this game in particular is at the beginning, I'll ask you I think it was called like a comfort setting, right? And then this guy here is like, oh, I'm an expert, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, whatever the highest.
No. So me, again, have motion sickness, so I went for the I guess highest
most comfort. Yeah.
And how it kind of did it is, so when you're like in the game, if you're like running or even if you're like climbing up the mountain, how it did it for me, you didn't select this.
Right.
You had it
decreases your field of...
It does. So it's almost like you're looking through binoculars. What I will say is it does take away from the immersion. But guys, I did not get sick. And that's saying something because like with the type of movement, like I expected to get sick. But because of how they did that, I haven't really seen that in other games. Like the comfort level built in that well.
Yeah.
To not get sick. So that was really nice. Now, I also didn't experience any hand tracking issues. So when you're doing the bow, you're reaching behind you. Because it's inside out tracking, the cameras are not seeing this. It's relying on the sensors that are in here. I know some people were kind of saying they might have had a little bit. I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't think you did
I didn't
either.
notice, yeah.
So that was fine. And then eye tracking, like we mentioned, this has eye tracking. So you can interact with menus, and it's so precise. It's so precise. Like you just there'll be two menu options, one above the other, and just looking it's so accurate. And so that's like a cool feature. So it's nice to see what else they're going to be able to do with eye tracking. But eye tracking also helps with foveated rendering. Now it's not a new technology, as many headsets use it, but basically, so foveated rendering is wherever you're looking is what's going to be at the highest resolution. Outside of that, it's going to be low resolution, but when you're in the game, you can't really see this. You don't see
the blurriness. You just see the sharpness of where you're looking, yeah. Yeah,
and so, but because it has eye tracking, it's eye tracking foveated rendering, so it's more accurate, and it also uses even less graphical power than fixed foveated rendering, which is it's a predetermined fixed part of the game or screen.
What you're seeing. That's the high resolution and everything to the edges is blurred out.
Yeah.
But that's a wasted because you might not be looking at that whole area where the eye tracking foveated rendering is just laser focus on what you're looking at, and everything else is rated lower, but you don't see that. And then when you start to look at something else, then that comes into high resolution. So really nice that, once again, at this price point, having that built in the feature is a really good value. Yeah.
Whereas the Quest Pro has eye tracking, and that's triple the price.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if the apps that are on there, because
they're
not a games company, I don't think they're fully utilizing.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, the eye tracking foveated rendering.
So really, really nice, guys. And then just one more thing, one small little detail about the game, and this has nothing to do with the headset itself. And so if you're familiar with Horizon, it just seemed like in the Call of the Mountain, the scale of the robots were huge.
Right.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit. I didn't expect them to be that huge. But again, it's really small. The game is really awesome, and it really shows off.
Well, maybe that's how big they really are to Aloy, and the VR is really
it
showing
look
you.
Like that,
the scaling,
or whatever. whatever. But
yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little bit more, wide angle view in the game so you can see everything. Because if they're that tall, you might think,
if you say so.
Who knows?
If you say so.
All right. So another game we tried out was Kayak VR, which was really cool. They had like all these different like scenes you could do or areas you could go to in the kayak, and you're like paddling the kayak, and the sense controllers have the haptics as you're paddling in the water. You get haptic feedback. So it was really a nice virtual reality experience paddling the kayak, and I think some people have even attached these sense controllers to like a long stick to kind of.
It feels like you really are, because I've been kayaking. You have too. It really feels like
you're kayaking. The water was gorgeous. Now, far out in the distance, wish it was a little bit sharper, but that might have been the artistic design choice of the maker of the game. Now, it is a port, so it's not was made specifically for PlayStation VR.
Right.
But it was pretty cool. I think it was Antarctica or something, someplace cold, and there was like penguins, and I paddled up to them, and they were sliding down like the ice, and like just different pieces of like small icebergs floating in the water as you're like bumping up against those. The physics were very nice, and that was done very well. I saw like a little encampment with people like in tents and stuff. Well, not the people, but I saw the tents, and I went up to that, and and then you had a training thing where you were learning how to do it in a swimming pool, kayaking, and then they had like a beach ball in there. You hit that, and that was rendered very nice. That was like sharper than some of the sceneries and things like that. So. That's a nice experience. We do want to try out that, we haven't done it yet, that NFL quarterback.
Is that on the PSVR?
Yeah, it's on the PSVR,
okay.
I believe, yeah. So that'll be something nice that we would try. We didn't have time to do that yet because we're playing these other games. But Gran Turismo 7, as you guys know.
Love of your life.
Yeah, I've been playing this since the first one, and I always like on my wish list, virtual reality Gran Turismo would be awesome. I was like, and another thing I want is like an affordable motion rig, if they could come out with that, because all the data of the telemetry coming off the cars, all the vehicle dynamics is in the game. So if you could just have that spit out somehow into like a motion rig, that's what I want next, PlayStation.
But another video.
I'm going on the tangent. The graphical quality of the VR, the interior of the cars, the tracks, everything, of course, they have like a virtual showroom. You can look around at the cars and everything. So eye tracking fovea render, you're looking at the inside of the car, just before the race starts, or you don't want to be looking at wire racing, but it's just the detail that it is rendered at very high.
And really quick, I will say, so obviously you on the headset don't see it, but so automatically it displays what you're seeing in the headset on the TV.
Yeah.
So whoever's around can see that. And I was looking for that fovea rendering, and I did see it. Like when you're looking straight ahead, like your mirror, you can tell the resolution isn't as
lower.
good.
Yeah.
But when you looked over, it immediately changed.
Yeah.
So it definitely works and is very accurate.
Yeah, I can see further down the track, which I was driving a track because I'm not that far along in Gran Turismo, so I was driving a track I was unfamiliar with. But if I can look ahead, I can see like what's coming. I'm a little bit rusty, so the outright pace, the guys were just leaving me. But I can see which way the track is going, so I can make sure that I'm getting to the right section of the track to make the turns. It was really good, and I played for about, I think the longest session was like 30 minutes. I didn't notice that the headset getting hot or fogging up or anything like that. The headset, once again, is very light, so I didn't feel any strain on my head, and I didn't get sick.
I couldn't. I tried. You'll see. We'll put it in. I tried to do Gran Turismo. I could do kayaking a little bit longer. Gran Turismo, I immediately. I think I only played a minute or two.
So if you're prone to motion sickness, maybe VR just isn't for you in general. But
we'll put links because I found it really good. It was actually GT Planet.
Okay, yeah.
And it had a bunch of really good
recommendations
on if you're prone to motion sickness, this is what you can do.
Yeah.
So we'll put that down in case you do, because I need it.
In the description. Because
I got Dramamine and ginger and.
Yeah, because racing in VR, guys, is just it's just another level of So you have wheel and pedal set and a cockpit, check. That's good, but then VR just takes it to another level because you're in the environment, and it just adds to that level immersion, oh man, I'm in this race, I'm trying to overtake this guy, where can I make the pass, and and it feels like you're in those cars. So, you know, it's definitely a very, very cool feeling.
Yeah, now, so we mentioned a couple of games. There's some other ports. The library is not big, guys, okay?
Right.
So that's the one thing. It is a new headset. You know, they had the PSVR, but so, like, something like the Quest 2, you're going to have, like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games.
Right.
Because that's been out for a while. This does not have it right yet. So that is a downside. The games that are available, like the ones we just talked about, are really good, and they're great, games, great experiences. But yes, the game library is lacking. So we will say that. And we'll link to, there's like a Wikipedia on like all the games that are available. They also said they're currently working on 100 plus games to come to the PSVR. Now, I don't think that they're all like
AAA.
Well, or exclusive. I think there might be like some of the 100 is probably ports and stuff like that. But they are working on more games to come, so hopefully soon.
Also, just on another side note, you can also play your regular 2D games on here in VR. So you'll have like a giant screen to play.
You call it cinema mode.
Yeah, you can play your games on. Like, once again, it's not like watching a 4K TV, but it's still kind of cool that you have a giant screen. Like if you don't have a projector or something like that and you're just playing, it's a nice way to experience your games.
Yeah, make sure you go in the settings because you can have it, because it does support 120 hertz again. So you can make sure you go in the settings and turn that, like for cinema mode, turn on 120 hertz so your games.
And you can watch YouTube videos and Netflix and stuff, so you can have some media consumption on there as well. So just another benefit of having a VR headset.
Yeah, if somebody's watching something else on the TV, you can be watching something else on the headset. So.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. So then we're gonna move on to our final thoughts. Like for me, so we're getting back to the conflicting that we have, like the conflicts we have with this. So it's a great headset. Now you need a PS5 and you need this, so you're like right there. You're like $1,050. Yeah, $1,050. But on the you're getting PC VR quality graphics here, and you're getting the haptics, which is also awesome, and you're getting like the resolution and the HDR. So to do that, a combo you need like a headset. So say you go MetaQuest, that's $400 plus the PC. You may be around $1,050 or even more.
I mean, we have PC VR headsets and gaming PCs to get decent You're over $1,050.
Yeah, if you want to like the 90 hertz or 120 hertz, and so it's gonna help with the motion sickness. Yeah, you need like a nice beefy PC. Now, I think that the price of $550 is not too high, but there aren't a lot of games. But if anyone can do it, is Sony. Now, there are going to be a lot of ports that's coming to this, like Tales from Galaxy's Edge has been remastered for this, and it's like the best version to play. Yeah, graphically is better than any other version out there, so there's going to be ports coming to this, and maybe developers will take advantage of this high resolution, the HDR and stuff, and the haptics, and make some really nice experiences on this. Now, for me, they call like a killer app is Gran Turismo 7. For me, I would just pay the money just for that. Yeah, because I want to do. But not everybody is going to be into cars like that. Now you do have the Call of the Mountain.
It's amazing.
It's a 6-hour game. It might take you a 6 to 8 hour game might even seem longer, because how long can you be in VR at one time? So it may take you over the course of like a month or two to get through that 6 to 8 hours playing. That however long you do. So if you don't have another VR headset and you want to get into VR, I think this is like a good place to go. Now, you're going to be locked into PlayStation ecosystem, but is that really a bad thing? Because they're going to be making, hopefully, a lot of games for this to support this.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe somehow, like, you, in the future, will be able to hook this up to your PC.
Developers,
I don't know.
Maybe they will, like, figure that out, but for now, you're locked into like the PlayStation ecosystem, but I think like all the features it has. If you want to get into VR and you haven't gotten into VR and you already have a PS5, I think that is a way to go to get into. It's really good VR, and like I said, the price proposition to do that on PC VR is a lot higher. So those are my thoughts on it.
So I'm very similar. I do think, for what you get, $550 is cheap, guys.
Yeah.
Like the Vive Pro, triple the price. think it's the HP Reverb. I think the resolution is a little bit better, but that's LCD panel, not OLED. And you really can tell. Like our other headsets that have LCD and then go into the OLED.
The inky black.
You can tell, and it just looks so good. The contrast, it looks good, guys.
And the pixel response, like you get less blurring because the OLED panel is the higher, like the pixel response.
And the level of immersion it gives you with the haptics in the headset, which again you don't get with other headsets. The haptics and adaptive triggers of the controllers. I 100% think it is worth the $50. And again, I think it's like
the $550.
Cheap. $550. I think it's cheap. But is it worth going out and buying it for $550? That is a different question, because just the way, and you kind of already touched it, you know, there's not a lot of games for it right now. If you don't already have a PS5, you know, you're spending right off the bat $1,050.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's got some good games, but it's not as big of a library as what you're going to get on a Quest 2, you know, Meta or other platforms. But I feel like, and it's the hope, like if anybody can do it, if anybody can bring the games, good games, and consistently, I feel like Sony can do that.
Yeah, I mean, they had Iron Man VR, the Batman stuff on the original PlayStation, and the Astro. I want Astrobot.
How do you not have Astrobot?
There's got to be a port for
Astrobot
Astrobot on the PSVR 2 because that's awesome. You have Moss and Moss 2. Those
I
are
want to
also
play that. I haven't played that.
Those are also good games that you can play on. Once again, so if you're not already have a PC or VR or any VR headset, all of those games that have been ported, those are still new to you. So those are games that you can.
Right.
So the fact that there aren't like games like the 100 plus that are coming, there's still a lot of ports that you can play on here. And if you don't have a VR headset, like I said, those are new to you. So there are some experiences to be had. You just have to know if you want to get into VR.
Yeah. What I also have an issue with too, and again, this is not just Sony, although so Horizon Call of the Mountain, that is a $60 game.
Mm-hmm.
It's 6 hours.
Yeah.
So I also feel like the games need to be long. I get like VR, you're generally not going to be playing it maybe especially if you're prone to motion, so you're not going to be playing it as long. But I just feel like if you're going to charge $60 for a game, and it needs to be more than 6 to 7 hours.
Now we don't know what goes into development of a VR game. Maybe the development budget to do that in VR is higher than a 2D game. Possibly, I don't know. But yeah, like so you're paying like $10 an hour.
So what I recommend going out and buy it right now. Well, like Damien said, if you're new to VR, you already have a PlayStation 5, sure. Yeah, I definitely think it's one of the best experiences that's out right now, especially for the price. But what I maybe lean to say,
wait and see.
Possibly hold off and wait to see if Sony does it. If they bring the games, finally.
Yeah.
I'm tired of all these like experiences and short games.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's just kind of our
maybe
our
Sony will make a mandate, for the third-party developers, like, hey, you got to support this, or kind of have some. But we've seen with the haptics on the DualSense controllers, that hasn't, developers aren't really doing much with that, to my knowledge. So hopefully it gets supported, because when it's done right, like in Gran Turismo 7 and Call of the Mountain, awesome experiences can be had in VR.
Absolutely.
But that's going to do it for this one, guys. We hope you guys liked our review of the PSVR 2, and we'll have links in the description for all the things we mentioned in the video as far as the games that are coming out for it, how you can, comfortably play Gran Turismo 7. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.